because the first piece is going to be Lullaby, and hopefully I don't put any of you to sleep. So there we go.
Thanks so much, JJ. Appreciate it. Good work. Um, moving over to Meg now. Meg, you mind hopping on, and then let's see what you have to offer us today.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Meg. I am in the stagecraft class, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a set presentation. It would be the pitch for my design. So let me get my screen shared with you all right now. Alrighty, so the production that I designed for was A Doll's House by Ibsen. It was written in 1879. So it is set in the Victorian period during the aesthetic period. And what I found really interesting about this production was that while it is over 100 years old, a lot of the themes of the story are very applicable to today, especially with our current political climate. Just it touches a lot on the roles of women, and as Ibsen says himself, a woman cannot be in herself in modern society with laws made by men and with prosecutors and judges who assess female conduct from a male standpoint. So I felt like this was very relevant to today, and it was something that I actually really contemplated addressing in the design of the production itself, in terms of bringing it more into a modern setting. However, I ultimately decided to keep it more of a period piece because there's so much that the production touches on that are very, very relevant to the Victorian era specifically, and they really inform what is happening in the play. But I decided not to go too over the top with the design in order to make it relatable to a modern audience. So I'll start you off with my emotional response. There's going to be a lot of images here, and I'll touch on them very quickly. The big theme that came through in this play is Nora's feeling of being trapped within a role, and trapped in terms of her feeling like a doll in a house, hence the name, but also in her role as a mother and a wife. There's a lot of feeling of decadence and excess that comes through in the production, and there's a lot of guilt associated with that because their financial state is not particularly strong, so they don't necessarily have the income for this level of decadence. And there's this feeling of her husband, represented here in this picture, always watching, always monitoring what she's doing. Continuing on, the play really for me progresses from this feeling of sort of claustrophobia and tight confinement, and it builds into an almost frenetic energy into the second act. And so you'll see that really represented in Nora's execution of a tarantella dance. And it's actually commented that it appears as though she is dancing for her life here. So I really feel that at that moment, Nora's dancing really embodies all of the frenetic energy that's coming through in this play. So you can see that here in the images. I also pulled in some textile art, and that's something you'll see in a few more emotional response images, just because there's a common theme of sewing and embroidery as being a part of Nora's life. So here again, just more of that frenetic energy. And then finally building in the second act, the third act, to a feeling of calm, where you're getting really Nora breaking out of the roles and expectations that her family has had for her, that she has had for herself, and that society has had for her. And it's interesting because although we're watching Nora's journey through this production, this sense of being confined in a particular expectation or role is something that is very present for all of the characters in this play. So getting into my set inspiration, as I said, this is in the Victorian era, specifically during the aesthetic movement. This picture is the one that would inform my design the most. Just that feeling of being small, tight, cluttered, compact. Again, really trying to emphasize that feeling of claustrophobia and also that chaotic, frenetic energy that we see happening in the second act. And that's something that was fairly common, especially given that these were not well-off Victorian folk. They didn't have a large manor. They were living in what I imagined to be something like a brownstone apartment. So this is a little more well-to-do, but again, still a picture of the time. I really wanted to get a sense of what these rooms felt like. Going on after this picture here, we see reproductions of the era, really giving me a sense of color, texture. Again, these are packed rooms, lots of different textures, lots of different colors, lots of different light sources, and again, typically very crowded. And then pulling in a few Christmas slides just because the play itself is set right before Christmas and right after. So these are the given circumstances. We have a sofa here, and I wanted to give a couple of different options that represented sofas that would have been present during the time, but that were also very specific to the design that I was going for. We have some chairs. I'm going to clip through this pretty quickly because it looks like I'm running low on time. Rocking chair, side table. And then the parlor stove was an interesting bit. They mentioned the stove being present in the living room, and that was something that gave me a bit of pause because I would have when I initially read the play, I was expecting a fireplace, but when I went back and on second and third pass, I realized they specifically mentioned a stove. So after some digging, I learned that this is actually something that was quite common and really a bit innovative for the time period. So the parlor stove allowed you to heat a room without having a lot of smoke and wood present. So it was a cleaner method of heating your room. So this would have been very, very with the times. So pulling that in. And then we've got our piano, bookcase or curio cabinet, and the Christmas tree. And then the rug, as well as the trim and woodwork. That was something I really wanted to have be present in this set. And then the wainscoting. Again, I wanted that feeling of oppression to come through in just even the design of the walls. So I felt like pulling in this really big wainscoting would help to add to that. Then we've got the staircase here, the wallpaper. And then I got into some elevations. I really wanted to have a very clear concept of what I was designing before I actually went to go execute the set model. So we have here the elevations for all of the pieces. Some of them changed during the build. Just seeing them in the actual set model made me realize I would like them to be a little bit larger. And then we have the color palette. Again, very informed by the emotional research as well as the period research. Lots of reds, lots of browns, hints of mustards and tans. Both pulling from the costume that would be traditional for a tarantella, but also just the sort of overall emotional feeling of the play. So we have some thumbnail sketches here playing around with just different design concepts for how this could work, as well as layout tests. I just was pulling from actual Victorian homes of the time and figuring out how to translate them in a way that would allow for, again, that feeling of confinement and also the appropriate sight lines for a play. So moving forward, we've got our ground plans, blank ground plan, and then Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Again, they're moving the furniture around to accommodate the different needs of the scenes, but not really changing terribly much from scene to scene. So then we get in here into the set model. So this is the concept for Act 1. Again, you can see those reds coming through quite a lot, all those browns, lots of dark tones. Really wanted it to feel worn and lived in. Again, these were not rich people. And then we get into Act 2 here. The Christmas tree is present now. The chairs have moved a bit. I really wanted to have an intimate space. I'm going to jump back here really quick. An intimate space here. There's some conversations that occur, and I wanted to give the director some space, if they so chose to use it, to really put Nora at the forefront when she dances the tarantella. So I thought that would be an interesting sort of layout to be able to play with. And then we get into our Act 2. Again, it's much more sparse. It's much calmer. Things have been removed from the set itself. And then I'm going to skip over my building of the model and just end this here. So that is my design for a doll's house. Thank you all for watching.
Meg, thanks so much. That was outstanding. Thank you. Incredible work. We're going to now move ahead towards Nyron. Nyron, can you jump on here?
Yes, hello. Hi, I'm Nyron Winter, and I'm going to be singing Joanna from Sweeney Todd. I feel you, Joanna. I feel you. I was half convinced I'd wake on, satisfied enough to dream you. Happily I was mistaken, Joanna. I'll steal you, Joanna. I'll steal you. Do they think that walls can hide you? Even now I'm at your window. I am in the dark beside you, buried sweetly in your yellow hair. I feel you, Joanna, and one day I'll steal you. Till I'm with you, then I'm with you there, sweetly buried in your yellow hair. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nyron. Good work. Next up, can we have Claire come on, please?
Hello.
Hello, turn it over to you.
Excellent. Right. Hi, my name's Claire. I am also in the scenic design class with Meg, and I designed the hairy ape. And this, I really enjoyed this play because it was this like dark, creepy, like American impressionist play about Yank, who goes through this kind of, he's oppressed and he's working class. This play is very much about the classes. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. This is weird because I can't see you. But so he's going through this struggle with just all of these upperclassmen can't get into his he can't get there. He has this like block. Then this play is very much in his from his perspective. So I really wanted that, really came forward when I was reading it. So I'll get into my emotional responses. This is very dark. I have a lighting design background. I am a professional lighting designer, so I'm incorporating light into some of this just naturally. It's just how my brain works. So as I read this play, his impression of himself and how he thinks he is viewed is just like this slurry of an ape. He's just this just disgusting creature. So as I'm reading this, it just kind of gives me that vibe. And as we go through the play, you see the taste of the other world and how high and mighty the other half lives. So I really wanted to incorporate a lot of these really deep shadows and this strong backlight into that, and from a scenic design perspective, figure out how to enhance that for the LD that doesn't exist in this production. So I really I really wanted to incorporate the American Impressionist style. So a lot of Goya and Victor Hugo, just their brushstrokes were very, very deliberate and chaotic. As this play gets, it's very rhythmic and kind of gets in your face, and I really wanted to incorporate that in the scenic painting. So here's some of kind of the general like main like Goya and Victor Hugo's that I really looked at, and I'll call back to this Goya later. It very much kind of elevated my or what was pretty much my base for my palette, along with some other elements. I really liked this just because it informed his view of the upper class. And it's a beautiful piece of art. So we get into my kind of just where I'm pulling a lot of my circumstances from, and just how I want that energy to be in the bunk in that first scene. So it's very cramped. So I wanted to create that feeling of crampedness and this like I can't move very much, and there's a lot of that physicality. I wanted to incorporate that in the scenic design, whether and to kind of inform that. I really love that. Sorry, got a little fast there. And these pillars that are everywhere, I wanted to bring those forward. So I made a note of that in my notes, which we'll see in a little bit. When we get to the upper deck, where the aunt and I can't remember her name right now, but our lady that's trying to see how the other half lives, I wanted to create this world of openness and freedom, because they have so much that they can do, and really create that space. So really visually feeling that opposite and bring in some of that light, just to inform that we were here, really incorporating some of these pillars, also kind of calling back to the pillars that are underneath the deck. Really, this vertical scale shows up a lot in my design. I love the simplicity of it and the repetition, and it just really kind of supports what I'm going for. All right, and then we're gonna get into the fire room, or the boiler room. This was kind of my central focus a lot. Really, what kind of drove my design forward for me. This moment in the play is where she goes into the fire room, sees Yank, and she collapses. It's the shortest scene, but for me, it was the most informative. So I really wanted to bring this scene into all of the other scenes, without you realizing it. So this structure here, and you'll see it in my drawings, I really wanted to incorporate this perspective and these angles, because it's so cramped and it's dirty and just everything's pushing in. You have no room. Again, more pillars in the middle. And just really kind of calling to how dirty and oily and just everything is kind of working class. And I just love these pictures. Okay, and then after she faints, we go back to the bunker, and then we get 3 weeks later, we go to Fifth Avenue. I wanted to, I didn't want to, this is written in the 50s. I didn't want to necessarily say it was the 50s. I kind of want a little bit of 20s, a little 1800s. I wanted it to be a little bit more expansive. And you don't really know what time it is, because that doesn't matter so much. This is happening, and that's what matters. So having a non-disclosed time period was really important to me. So really creating this kind of corner for this storefront to be. I really loved this corner cigar store. I wanted to create something like this, but how to construct it was failing me. So I ended up just going with a corner, but something closer to something like that. And I used Saks Fifth Avenue as my focal point, but I did not include a name, and I will show you in a second. Hold on. Shmear. Thank you, 3. And then we get into the jail after he tries to jump a lady, and then he gets beaten up. So now he goes into prison. This, again, with the vertical bars and the layers of just people stacked on people. It's almost like the ship, just in a less confined, or it's still pretty confined. So calling back to these bars, when you see the design of it, I really wanted to create this, like, he is trapped. Yank cannot go anywhere, but all the other prisoners that are in the jail with him have freedom. They still are behind bars, but they're not as trapped as he is, because he really feels that he is trapped within himself and he can't get out. And he tries in the next scene. So in the next scene, after he gets out of jail, he goes into a New York office. Again, I wanted to not be very specific about the time period, and this is where we can get a little muddy about kind of time. Like it's either like 1920s, 1950s. You can kind of feel the vibe depending on technology. So this is really the base of what I was going for that. And then we go to the zoo where he meets the gorilla and thinks he's found his kin and dies from the gorilla. So again, vertical bars, like a lot of that just pulls everything together, and I really loved that. Again, like seeing, like, this is an old 1800s prison, overcrowded prison in England, and it still had this descending staircase, which was in the bunker in my previous images. I also wanted to call forth some lighting, obviously, because we have this. I didn't want Yank to just be locked in his own prison. Like, if he had that movement on stage where his bars followed him, I would be for that as well. And we get into my color palette. Again, the Goya is very informative, and you'll see that. And the ape faces. A lot of the different natural colors in the apes are really came forward for me in a lot of my color choices. So I thought this was a lot more poignant than just picking a normal color palette. It really kind of came forward for me. Okay, so we get into my sketches and some thumbnails. I was just trying to get a sense of where I wanted to go. You can kind of see how I really wanted to make this elevated motion of higher society, and they can go where they please. Trying to figure out how I want to incorporate this image, whether I want to do a roof, which I didn't, obviously. Just trying to understand how to get there. Thank you, 1 minute. I'll move a little quicker. Just kind of processing everything. I'm going to jump to the model. Here's an elevation of my Fifth Avenue. And all right. And then just some of my other circumstances. I wanted to do a card table. I needed benches and some crates as well. And then some propaganda for the, I added this after I presented in Clayton's class. I'll be really fast. Because there was something, I had an issue with the room because it just didn't feel right. So I added propaganda and I fixed it. And I'll be interested to see what Clayton thinks after my adjustment. So, and now we get into the first and fourth scene of the bunker. And just some hammocks, some benches. You can kind of see how they can move around throughout this space. Here's the upper deck. This piece is it will rotate, and I'll show you that in a second. I really wanted to make it very expansive, and you can really tell, and not really having any other elements other than the rope, that it's a ship, and really using the dialogue and the spaciousness of where we're at. This piece rotates, and what I really wanted to call forth is this idea of rotating this piece into this other room, and introducing this idea of using movement and creating our girl who thinks she's so high and mighty and wants to see how the other half lives, as this holy beacon, how she feels about herself, and really creating that light moment. and she creating that opportunity to descend the staircase. And there's another light focus. You can kind of see the paint job on the broiler. Here's Fifth Avenue. Yep, wrapping it up. Here's the jail. And then this is what I redid for my room. And then that is the zoo. Sorry, I went over.
That was great. Thank you so much, Claire. Great work.
Thank you.
Design stuff. Can we now, Miriam? Let's see if we figured out Miriam. We had a little audio issue with Miriam a little bit earlier. So, Miriam, can you jump on and see if we've solved our 2020 issues? You're muted right now. It's the lower left-hand corner of the Zoom room. Here, I'll ask you to unmute. Not sure. There we go. Can we hear you? No, unfortunately we can't. Too bad. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap up Performance Mondays. We were hoping to get Miriam's audio fixed before she had to perform today, or she wanted to perform today. But anyway, we will be doing I know there's questions about if we're doing Performance Mondays next Monday before Thanksgiving. Yes, there will be a Performance Monday next Monday. We will do them through December 6th. So December 6th will be our last one. But thank you all for showing up, and thanks so much for all the. Can we give a round of applause for all the students that went today? Some great work today. Some great design work, which is excellent to get on here. I'm so happy that theater had these students that came and presented, and great work to our pianist and our vocalist. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for stopping by.